Hi, thanks for coming and joining me today. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. When you subscribe, click the notification bell and then you will know about my next video. Alright, let's get on with it. Here's the reading. Hello, welcome to the channel. I'm Leeloo Jane. I'm a channel. Psychic channel, empath, whatever you want to call it. I have had videos on the channel. You may find them if you're new to the channel, and it's been a while since I've put videos out, and that's because I've had my own life issues to deal with, and they've been quite consuming. So we've sort of moved past some of those, and I've got time now to come back to sharing with you, and here I am sharing today. A few weeks ago I channeled through writing. I channel a number of ways. I channel through writing, I channel through releasing and closing my eyes and speaking, letting the guides speak through me. So both types of channeling, and I've become in tune with them. I do vet and create a safe zone of good energy around me before I channel. I'm very discerning about who is allowed to channel and come through to me. In fact, there's a lot of beings would like to come through, and I haven't really wanted to allow all and sundry to come because I need to feel confident about what I'm putting out there. I'm so cautious. So I am cautious. It is channeling angels. There are Star Nation family, friends, and there have been in the past, and of course the archangels, Mary, Jesus. It's a big group, and when you're a channel, a lot of individuals will come to see if they can work with you. And I probably have not been a very reliable channel for them to work with lately, though they say, don't worry, I've been doing my processes. So I'm going to be channeling a message from them about the big picture of what's happening in the world. It's coming from a higher density perspective. The beings that I channel range from at the very lowest fifth, a little bit of fourth. I did at one point get a brotherhood come through from that's a group of people from another planet coming through to help with advice about the Ascension. That was once, but other than that, it really is higher density beings of sixth up to ninth density. So when I get the Arcturians, they're ninth density Arcturians, Andromedans from the sixth density, and of course I get angels, archangels, and I've had Yeshua and Mother Mary. So, and a greater group of guides working as a group, speaking with one unity voice. And there's a lot of people in that group or individual beings that I don't have a million names for, and they don't need to be named because they actually don't try to become identities on the planet. There's really very few people, individual beings, I call them all people, who have actually tried to create identities on the planet that we can name and refer to and think about and visualize, because there's too many of them for that, and they're very helpful, but they often work in groups, coming together and coming through as one voice. And some of us guides have some of us channels have very large groups of guides working for them and with them to help them. So they don't need to be named, and a lot of these beings wanting to help don't have names that are humanized names. They are completely empathic and using telepathy. They're using telepathy in their whole communication is totally fifth, sixth density and above, which means it's a full 360 degrees communication parcel. It's not words, it's more. And a lot of beings are known by their frequency, not by their name. They don't have English. They don't have word names. They have frequencies and are identifiable because every being in the universe is remarkably universally unique. So that is how it works. So I can't always name my guides. They don't all have names, but I feel them and know them, and they know me. And I know them because the advice and the conversation I get and the talks they want to have, I personally class as good and reasonable. Now, anything that is a bit outlandish, I'm a bit conservative about, so I don't get sort of wild out there stuff coming through because I'm always vetting. And I do that because I've had experience with the dark trying to come to me, and I understand how that works. Right, so an awful lot of security protocols and vettings have to go forward. You have to set your very strong intention all the time. So that's how it works. And most empaths will have gone through adventures inevitably where the dark have tried to impersonate the angels and so on and so forth. And it's happened. They got called out. Yeah. So there we go. We can talk about that more at other times. I certainly have I've put out a video about channeling, talking about how you can just about channel anything. Is it really what you want to channel? But in the meantime, you're here probably because of whatever, I haven't put the video together yet, whatever name I've given it, to talk about the upcoming future with the Earth and Earth movements and changes. Now, I'm cutting in on a rather long discourse they've given to me, which started with personal stuff, which would have been nice to share some of it. I will make it another video maybe and work it out so it's not personal to me in the presentation, but very useful to all of us, really. Because I am just one person in the field of many millions of people on the planet. I am in our planetary unity field, and we are all doing the same thing, going through the same thing. We're all working to the same end. We are quite similar in groups. So there will be lots of people in a similar position to me because we sort of run programs in a way so as to clear out issues, deal with things, find our strength and support our planet. And there's certain things need working on, so we also seem to have similar packages of what we do, kind of similar, but not all exactly the same. Anyway, I'm going to read this to you. I did write it a little bit scribbly in places, so I might go, oh, I've read that wrong. So please forgive me for that, and I will have to turn the pages on my book. None of it's memorized. I don't memorize any of my channelings. They're not burned into my brain because I didn't compose them. They just came through, and often it's like news to me as much to you. All right, here I go. I'm going to read this to you. Okay, need my glasses. Right. Okay. Now we've gone past the very personal side of the process involved, which I will try and put in another video. Now we're on to, now let us discuss the world at large. That's what they've said. Here we go. Okay, here we help you to see the big pictures at play. This is a noisy process, and it's a lightening of the way. A lighting of the way. Now, I've got to say too, this is me, there's a few words they say differently. They talk a little bit differently, so just be prepared for that a little bit. Okay. You now feel free in ways you have not experienced or had in many lifetimes. This is because of the great rotation of planets and stars and suns. Your dear sun is in the light of rebirth. Yes, he is your planet. He is your planet. Oh, excuse me. Not reading my own writing. Yes, he and your planet are growing in material manifest ways. And of course, this means in spiritual energy body ways. This cannot be discounted. The sun is a light that leads to ascension of self. His self and herself, the planet, all planets, in fact, are all inhabitants. And all inhabitants are all, what they're saying there, the way it came through, they're saying they're all in the ascension of self. I just didn't read it very well, but it sort of ended on a full stop there. But that's what it was saying. All are in the ascension of themselves, because the planets and the stars are in fact emanating beings, very big ones, but they are beings going through a planet life cycle, which of course is a lot longer than ours. But anyway, we work with them, living on them. Okay, where was I? There it is. This is because the rotational phases of the Great Mother Universe is coming to full cycle. Okay, so there are cycles of the Great Mother's Universe, phases of growth and development. So she goes through a lot of working, sorting, learning, growing, and then boom, she gets a little bit more growing, a bit bigger. Everything gets a bit expanded, the energy goes up for everybody, and everyone sort of goes up a level, and she gets a bit bigger. And that's kind of like if you visualize it growing up in phases, growing, boom, a little bit bigger, growing. All the growing is working, sorting, developing, experiencing, learning, knowing, having experiments, and we're a part of this whole, the means by which it happens. So that's what's happening with her. And of course, that's over thousands and thousands of years. And I haven't asked for the time of that, because my guides, we're talking sixth density. This is messaging from sixth density and above beings. Do not have our time scale. They're not in our time space. Okay, so that's not what they're talking as. And if they were to talk in their time space, well, it might not relate to ours very well. So let's try and stay away from that kind of talk. Okay, right, yes. This means she has experienced and encompassed many lessons and light language receptors. So her neural path, her brain, and here's an interesting fact. Somebody did a map of a big part of the universe. They did a light map of it that they can get from all the telescopes that they're using nowadays, and through a particular frequency of light, and it looks like the neural light mapping of the brain. So when you look at each of them, they look exactly the same. They look like synapses and neural pathways. That's what the universe looks like, and that's what our brain looks like. We are a microcosmic representation of sorts of the universal Great Mother. We all call her the Great Mother. That's what my guides call her. Now, they say that because we are in a paradigm in which new life and experience and growth comes from the female, and she is continually giving new life, and so she is classed as a Great Mother. In higher densities, there is no male and female. In the higher densities, no male and female. The next few densities from us there are. But once you get into sixth, you tend to transition. There's a transition point on higher sixth density where you can head into more light body, and then you don't really have to worry about female-male identification because you're not reproducing that way. So it's not necessary. So that's just an interesting fact. So she, of course, is not a gender-based being like us. Yeah, we have it for our ability to have duality, which is a part of our growth and learning experience. But the universe doesn't need to have a male-female duality. Okay, rolling forward, where was I? Okay. So she has light language receptors, which is like the synapses in the brain, connecting, communicating within, sending messages and understanding. And that will include pictures, sound, images, feelings, and some language codings. And that's all connecting and lots of energy streaming. Each of us are an individual synaptic receiver and sender. So class ourselves as synapses in the brain of the Great Mother Universe. Sorry, I've got betadine on my hand. It's a little bit red looking. My bird has sharp claws and it accidentally dug in. Sorry. Okay, let's keep rolling forward. So light language receptors are from you and all others. That's what they're saying. We are the message transmitters, the synaptic centers in her body, in her mind, brain. Okay? Her digestion of all this receptor consciousness has occurred. She has taken it all in, soaked it all up, gathered it all up in her mental library of learning and understanding. Now she assumes an air of revitalizing growth. She is now ready to grow some more. And my guides are now joining me here now, and they're saying she is ready to grow some more because she has summed a great mass of knowledge and understanding. She has achieved her goals in regard to the tasks that she set herself and us, because we're a part of her, and now she is stepping up to learn a new level. And because it's as they say, as above so below, I say as without so within, we are within the Great Mother. As is happening to her, we all travel with her in the same process. We all upgrade into our next level of learning and processing for ourselves and our Great Mother, because it is ourselves as well, because we're all one big unity field. Okay. Yes. Her digestion of all this receptor consciousness has occurred. She now assumes an air of revitalizing growth. Her food, her nourishment, is consciousness evolution. That's what nourishes her. She's able to generate her own nourishment through us. Our consciousness evolution is her consciousness evolution, generated from within by her own universal body. Oh, that's what they just said that. That's what I said. They said that already, but my guides are now working with me as we go through this, okay? The guides who composed this and talked to me, okay? So she now evolves. This all within her evolves. All within her evolves. I guess that's just what I just said. We're evolving too. You are in this universe, of this universe. You evolve. You evolve. Fear not, for the only way is up. Isn't that lovely? That's nice. Now, we're in my next page. Let's go to page 4, actually, because there was pages before. There is no fall to be had. You know, have you heard people talk about the fall, how everything's going to go down, everything's going to fall apart, and in the past there was a big fall and society went down and everyone became cavemen. Have you heard of that story? And now they're saying, oh no, the world's going to end, it's going to collapse, and all the terrible things are going to happen. No, it's not going to happen, apparently. That's what they're saying. Yeah? There is no fall to be had, they said. Okay, it is not possible, for all the darkness is only a conjugation of her mind. Her mental mulling over variance and illusions of differentiation. You get that, don't you? In other words, the darkness isn't an individual energy that lives and coexists in its own right. It is a part of a mulling, a thought process. It's not a being that has a right to live and exist permanently. It is a passing fad in a moment of experiential interpretation. If that makes any sense to you. This was a game of sorts, but a learning game. For all the overall appearances of everything, she is a child learning of herself and all the everything. This is why there is and are many paradigms of all sorts of experiences. A licorice all sorts bag of options, but in the end all of the same flavour, her own beingness. This is all a beautiful description of the universe. All this is reflected into your worldview. So, the refurbishing of the earth, as we speak, is happening due to the shifting eminence of the great mother's very essence. You're not left out. You're front and center of this. It has been through the third and fourth density that the greatest emotional variances have been found. You are her great creation. Now, I have to go to my next page. Now we say, in your appearance on the earth. Your appearance is not one life. It is a continuum. I didn't cross my T's. Might fix that now. You are a continuum of emanations due to the planned commitment to be a part of the Earth Mother. That's the Earth continually birthing female. She is female, by the way. Planets are female and male. So we can call her a female for sure. So a part of the Earth Mother's emanating being. Hence, your attachment and loyalty to her. You made a commitment to be a part of her growth and journey. Yes, you came from other timelines eventually with more evolved consciousness. This is where they talk around in different ways because they're not on a timeline like us, right? So eventually, from other timelines, which may be randomly anywhere that doesn't relate to our timeline. So we can't, in the multi-density world, I can get it because I get multi-density communication, but I could say if our timeline was a little line and we're in little spots along it, another timeline can be completely unrelated to those distances of time between each marker. Their markers are different. So there is no way to say if a marker was, if our line had lots of little markers 1 centimetre along, for example, that was our years, for example, or our centuries, and then another timeline had markers every 5 centimetres, well, or 10 centimetres or 15 centimetres, that was the time marker. One entire life could be hundreds of years of this timeline. One entire life on the other timeline could be hundreds of years on this timeline. Can you see how it's possible then, if you were on say, the 5th little line, and you previously were in a timeline where it went from 1 to 50, you could say you were from the future in your previous life, or the past, because you started before then. So it's not really applicable to say I'm from the future or I'm from the past, because if you're on a different density, and I'm talking about the densities, I hope I said that before, a different density of the timelines, which means everything goes faster or slower because there's a different frequency. See, my guides are with me now, right here with me, but they're in a different density. So us 3rd D, 4th D people aren't going to pick up on them with our 3rd, 4th D senses in our 3rd, 4th D processing rate. Our computer, our brain computer only clocks at a certain speed, our ability to process 3rd, 4th density processing. Then we simply can't pick up on them because they're going to be faster. We're pretty slow down here in 3rd and 4th density. They're so fast we can't see them, but they slow themselves down to trickle the messages down to us in a slower way. I hope that made sense. Okay, I'm going to keep going now. I think sometimes that's very interesting, isn't it? Now, yes, you come from other timelines eventually with more evolved consciousness. I'm going to add another commentary. You have more evolved consciousness because you had a longer life to learn more. You just got more time to learn more, and it was a higher density where it was easier to receive, perceive, and soak in and comprehend because you're on a high density. It's easier. It's harder here. Everything's slower. We're like sloshing around in mud here, getting stuck. Okay, but that is why you are here. Still, your time with the Earth Mother has incorporated many lives over what would be considered many millennia. We've still done a lot of little lives in our little timeline here. This is, of course, not long in our precognizant focus. That's what they're saying. For we are outside the game protocols. So what they really, I said but what they actually said was, I'm going to say it the way they said it. We are outside to game protocols of this world evolution. Yeah, they're not in our third, fourth density protocol range. They don't live by any of the rules of nature in the third and fourth density. Now, some people call them dimensions. You might think of it that way. It's not a dimension, it's a density, right? A density is like a waveform, like frequency levels. Okay. If you want to know more, leave a comment and I will do a video on it. Okay. Not to say we are not involved or committed, for we are. We are in your program of participation as a part of your team. Teams for the many who emanate to her earthly body of light. I said that differently again. Now, when I say differently, I'm not going to say I'm wrong because I am now working with my guides as I speak to you. But I'm going to read it the way they said it, okay? Okay. Teams for the many who emanate to her earthly body to light, which is what they mean. So, to her earthly body to light, okay? Now, what my guides want to say about that is, there's a lot of it. The way they say things carries more information. So, her earthly body to light. We are all light. And they want us to know, that's what they're saying right now. They want you to know that when we think about our guides and associated friends and family of light and helpers as being in other densities, we sort of think of them like they're in heaven, like they're up there and I'm down here and I'm separate and I'm locked down here and I can't see them and I can't be like them and all this business. But what they're trying to say is they're saying we're in a density too. We are in a density, they're in a density. Our density has a certain speed clock and they're making me think of computers. If you know anything about computers, maybe you don't, computers have a clock inside them that tells that computer how fast to work, and it only works as fast as the clock is set. And I used to know somebody once who wanted to play games and things, and so he used to go into his computer, he knew how to, and turn up the clock on the settings of his computer so that he could make his computer work harder and go faster. It used to overheat and then it'd overheat and turn off and he'd throw a tantrum. But the point is, sometimes he'd hurt his computer. He had a bit of a temper problem. But it was his problem because he made it go faster than it was made to do so. When we're in the third and fourth density, we're made to go as fast as 3D. Now we are able to expand and grow up into a next density. We can grow into the fourth density. That's what we're doing right now. We're growing into the fourth density, and that our clock is naturally, when we expand and grow and become more equipped through our intention to the fourth density range of experience, we naturally turn up our clock, which allows us to process at a faster rate. It's got to be gradual. You've got to go step by step. You can't go from the third density to the seventh density. You can't, because you need to take that stepwise process of turning up the processing clock and work your way through the densities. And one step at a time, you become more adept at the next density. You feel it, you acknowledge it, you get to see it and know it. And once you do, as a human, then it naturally dials up and your skill set lifts up a level. That's your intent. You're a spark of the universal great mother. You're a soul. That's what happens when you're a soul. If you're not a soul, a person with a soul, you can't do that. So That's why you're not an AI. AIs can't do that, you know. You've got to be a human or a being. You don't have to be a human. You can be a different kind of being with a soul. Okay. I hope that was helpful. Yes, that's what they wanted to say. And they're saying your density is always evolving and growing and expanding, and you are not limited ever to the density you're in. You're never limited, right? That's what they want you to know. You're not trapped. You're not limited. That's the big message there. Okay, I hope you found that helpful to understand what's going on and how you function. Okay, I lose my track. I have to put my finger on my thing. Yes, that's it. Yes, we support. Yes, we support and salute you, dear ones. So they wrote this for you, for me to share. So here I am sharing, and I'm getting back on my video horse. Okay. Let us say your part is multi-density. Oh, there it is. And multi-lifetime. You are unstoppable. They admire us because we have hung in here through all these lifetimes and are following through on our commitment to be here for the process of the Earth's ascension, universe ascension. But we have to do it no matter where we are. Let's face it. It's the whole universe, and all densities are growing and up-leveling, all of us. So it doesn't matter where you are, you're going to do it. But it is helpful if someone comes who has more wisdom and experience, which is you and me. If you're watching this video, it's you. And help the third and fourth density do that lifting, because this is the hardest place to do it from. Excuse me. Okay, we're up to page 7. Let's see what 7 is. Evolution can happen through many phases. This is the next one coming to completion. So they say that the next one, the one we're in, this is the next completion moment. In all cycles, there are evolutionary highs and lows. There are completion points and beginnings. The beginnings are always starting out with the achievements of the last cycle. So this cycle we are at the end of started with the achievements already packed into it from the last cycle, whether we think it or not. Now, what the guides want to say is we have been misguided into believing there was a great fall and that we started from cavemen that sort of clubbed each other over the head and grunted and carried on, lived in caves and had a primitive life. No, it isn't that. It isn't the same. That isn't the case. That isn't how this cycle happened at all. That is a misnomer. That's their word. A misconstruction of historical inaccuracy. And it is only recently constructed over the last couple of 100 years. Oh, the bones, this is interesting, the bones that were discovered that led people to imagine there was a primitive life in the past, and they say all archaeology is partly imagination. Those bones may have been discovered, but they were not left out of an ignorant, backward society, but an earth-bound, earth-attuned and earth-loving society that felt more at home with the earth than we do now. And it was actually civilized and advanced in many ways. And the war paradigm was not a part of their mental perspective. And we can't comprehend and understand where they come from if we choose to try to envisage from the paradigm we are taught to believe in, which is one of war, competition, and patriarchal dominance. There you go. Very nice. Channeling while we read the channeling message. It will continue to come because here we are together. And thank you for being here. Yes. Oh, and if you want to encourage me to help me keep on making videos, you can give me a little comment or a little thumbs up, and if you subscribe, you might, and go click the little bell, you might know about some new videos that I'm going to really try hard to bring out and be consistent with. Okay, where am I at now? The beginnings are always starting out with the achievements of the last cycle. So you did. Now, the last cycle, you may say, oh, we're still channeling the last cycle. Yes. Now, they want you to think. And I have channeled some writings from the Sisterhood of the Blue Lotus, which I will bring forward. They are from the last cycle. And they started out, they were in the last cycle, and they transition forward into a higher density. And from that density, they encircle round and have communicated with me, and will be communicating more. We'll be back to communicate as I'm ready, when I'm ready. And I'll be putting a book out for their teachings. So they are a part of it, a highly advanced civilization that understood energy and was full of light and love and positive. Now, no matter how the past of the last cycle was presented, they're saying it is not the complete picture. It is not the accurate picture. Everything that we are hearing is going through the lens of today, the mental lens of a masculine overtness of societal awareness that is based on fear, contributing to battles, contributionists of warlike and embattled societal perspectives. Right. Okay. Okay. Achievement of the last cycle. Then the decongesting process occurs. So, right, you start a new cycle and you've got all the learnings from the last cycle. Now, there are some unfinished business, unfinished workings from the last cycle, a bit like roadworks that aren't complete. They still have to be done from one fiscal year to the next. The decongestion process occurs. So they are sorted out, and then the completed learnings, things that were completed well to achievement level, they are added to your library, our library as a human race, and become a part of us. That's why it's easy for people to remember and unite and relate to some of the things that we hear and consider about more spiritual aspects of the past, because we're like, I know that's real, I know that's true, because we have completed those cycles then, and it's in our library, our Akashic record, as you might call it. Okay. Right. What remnants are unfinished evolution remain to be born out? I mean, we're going to fix them and sort them out this time round, and we've been doing that. Sorted through and lived to exhaustion of all delusion in regard to each and every one of the many unfinished business matters. Yeah. Haven't we been thrashing out some things to exhaustion? Okay. With every cycle, these are worked on as a group. It will always appear as if we fell off our horse and lost our footing. But retrospect is best taken outside the paradigm, not from within. In other words, we're sort of hard on ourselves when we do this retrospect, and we look back at us working through the processes and we can't see the big picture properly. So let's not be hard on ourselves. Let us reassure you that this is another successful completion of a cycle. That's good news. Yes, evolution will occur and the graduation will proceed. Nice. You will upgrade and evolve, as will your Earth Mother Planet. How nice. Okay, we're going to page... That's the wrong way. My book confuses me. Page 8, here we go. Right. Now, your progression through this ascending of growth will be as such. Some will sign off on this one life emanation, getting ready for the next one. So they're going to sign off, finish this life, and they're going to prepare for the next one, the next life. Now, I did receive this as a multi-density thing, and I'm now channeling. My guides are with me, and I'm receiving multi-density images and understanding. So when you sign off from this life, you don't, depending on your condition and state of mind and what you're doing and what you've been doing and all the package you are, if you've been a person who's worked hard and tried to be a good person and hasn't gone nuts in a negative way, you, in other words, not succumbed to the naughtiness of the world, you will go to a lovely place for like another world, which is sort of just outside the sphere of the earth, and you will be going over everything, energy healing for your energy body, going over what your life was like, working out what you did well, working out, deciding what you needed to work on some more, and then planning your next life to come back here and participate in the next leg of the planet's life. And how are you going to contribute to that one? And getting ready, because you're in it for the long haul, aren't you? And it's exciting because the next life's, it's pretty good. It's good time. Times are getting better. Okay, so that's what that means. Okay, remember, it takes many lifetimes to make this cake. So they're thinking of it takes a lot to bake a cake. You get time to bake a cake and all the ingredients. And they're saying if they think of the earth as a cake, it led many lifetimes to make her what she is. Okay, gestation. Now they're referring to a rebirth, because we're at the end of a cycle and starting a new one. So it's like rebirth happening. Gestation is long and arbitrary. Okay, so gestation, like a baby, 9-month pregnancy will feel very long. And it's arbitrary. You've got to grow your baby, go through this growth and gestation period. And between each growth cycle, where it's like a gestation. Right. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. There is no other nature for the process. Right. Okay, but when you start out at the beginning of the gestation, you're a little tiny, like a little jelly bean size being, and you grow and evolve and develop into a fully formed baby ready to be born, and you're not the little jelly bean. So we start out here and we get big. At the end of our gestation, we're birthing so much bigger, so much more mature, so much more ready for the next cycle. Okay. And for, eventually it's like not just the next cycle, but the next density evolution. Right. Where was I? Right. Just looking for where I was because I keep losing myself. These are numbered. I should remember my numbers now. Yes. And yes, light. Here we go. Evolution is here we go. Some will prevail at different degrees. These must be light. There must be light. There must be light to bear. Light. Yes. There must be light to bear light. Okay. Some will prevail at different degrees. There must be light to bear light. What this means is some will stay, some will leave in this time to come, this year on, from this moment on. Some will leave, and some will prevail at different degrees. Some will stay longer, some will stay all different times. Your departure point is unique to you. There must be light to bear light. Remember before they said you came to the earth to be light, because you are light frequencies emanating together in a body. Now people talk about, some New Age people, it's probably not called New Age anymore, who knows, but people talk about people, what was I saying? Sorry, darlings, I sort of lost that a little because I chatter. Yes. So some will prevail at different degrees. There must be light to bear light. So I forgot what I was going to say to you. Doesn't matter. It's gone. So you are a light being, okay? And your body emanates and coalesces into a being in the third density, and eventually you will coalesce into a fourth density being, which is just a more capable and lighter version of yourself or whoever you are in your next life, right? But you can't have the birth into this world. There must be light to bear light. So people must be here on the earth in order to procreate the body for the next person to be born, the next generation to be born. There must be light to bear light. We light bearers have to be here to enable and to manifest the opening door of the new life for our next generation. Let's call it that. Hope that made sense for you. Yes. There must be light to bear light. I love the way they say that. So I was saying something about how we are light beings. Anyway, it'll come back. If it was important, it'll be back. Evolution is a light transference. Wow. Evolution is a light transference. So evolution is a light transference. We'll read the next bit. Light must be held for the birth of new humans into her earth, the earth, that is her, the earth's new paradigm. In other words, they're saying you need to have people on the planet to continue the human encumbrance on the planet. If we can call it that word, that's the word that came. So in order for us to be a population on the planet, we can't all disappear and then she evolves without us, because we are a part of her in this predetermined, pre-decided path and way form that she's doing it. She's doing it with us. We're a part of the parcel, the package. So we have to be here. So we're not all going to be wiped out. That's the point there, right? We are an important, integral part of her rebirth into the new light frequency of the new density. And we're coming with because we are enablers of it as we all bring and carry light. That's what they're getting at there. We all bring and carry light. We birth light into the density when we emanate into it. And that helps lift and carry forward and push the emanation of the planet into the next density. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Okay. Well, that just really sort of came out then. Okay, let's go on to the next bit. The shifting energies will progress without fail. There is no need to consider darkness, as there will be so much light that it will penetrate under every rock. We're heading into a lot of light. Our sun is delivering a lot of light to us. Yes, he's like the midwife. Okay. What human will be born into this light? That's just a question. They just asked the question. Are you excited? So, how do you imagine your new human? And it's important that we put our mind to it, because we are the ones who are doing this, bringing it through. Even if we finish this particular lifetime and prepare for the next lifetime, we are upgrading and planning to bring forward so much more in the new life that we come forward in when we take new birth. Right. There is a new evolution coming. And they want to say here, so it is important to understand the very, very valuable part to play, the importance of having babies. That it is important to have babies. It is the sacred path of ascension. Having babies they just described that having the baby is a very important sacred part of ascension for the planet. Not to be considered a scourge or a parasite. Okay. It's just mind-boggling, the nonsense people come out with. At the moment in Australia, there's these people obviously fully engaged in the darkness because they think killing babies at full term is their mission. That's very strange. But that would be a little bit of a counter effort against Ascension, wouldn't it? Because we just described here that having the babies is an important part. That's what they've said. I just realised that. As I talk it through with you, I comprehend even better, and also they're channeling with me and helping me to unpack the messages. Be at peace in your positioning in the planet, they said. Oh, I missed a bit there. I'll just go back a little bit, right? There is a new evolution coming. Do not bother with the noise of the past or the conundrum of the breakup of society that is, as I said, that is old hat. Have you heard that saying before? It means it's getting a bit sad and floppy, and we've heard it before, a bit worn out, right? And not able to function in the fresh, new, youthful energy of the human paradigm to come. Okay, that's nice. I'll read that again, right? There is a new evolution coming. Do not bother with the noise of the past or the conundrum of the breakup of society that is old hat, worn out, finished with, and not able to function in the fresh, new, youthful energy of the human paradigm to come. Be at peace within your positioning in the planet. Be as the midwife, the nurse her through her rebirth. Okay? Be at peace in your positioning in the planet. Be as the midwife, nurse her through her rebirthing process. Only those willing and carrying the maturity to be midwives to her changes will reside and prevail. All others will subside like the land that will fall away under the spreading earth. Yes, the earth is growing, so she's going to spread. You know the rift points? They're going to spread. It's going to cause some upheavals and things. So, right. She will guide her midwives, that's us, to safe places to be while she undergoes the great spreading. Now, they're the people that need to hang in there for as long as their plan is to do so, to keep the human population going nicely. Now, of course, don't forget, if some people do depart, it's because their planned time on Earth is finished. They've done their time that they planned for, and now they're going to go and prepare for their next stint, their next program of what they're going to do. So don't forget that, right? Don't forget that overview. Okay. Focus upon this. Feel her. Listen to her. Do not be distracted. There is much to draw your mind. Stay grounded now. In other words, focus on your earth. Love your earth. Feel empathy with the entity that is your magnificent planet. And know that it is your planet, right? It's yours, right? And you love it and you belong to it and you don't harm her, right? None of that nonsense. Don't listen to that negative noise and rubbish. Don't be distracted. Stay grounded now, okay? The midwife is in the present. Stay in the present. That's true too. Midwives are very much in the present. Totally focused on the moments they're in. Totally focused on the birthing process. Be present, okay? There are many talking about aliens, new world orders, and power struggles. They are distractions. No one of the supposed power players has more power than the contractions of a birthing planet, or, for that matter, a birthing sun. as there are many in the throes of rebirth in this now universal moment. All beings must hunker down, reposition, take into account and watch with respect and awe at the universal bodies, as in all the suns and planets, re-eminence as they upgrade. By remaining focused, you become an active byproduct of the process. No, not dross that falls away. Let's not. So don't be dross that falls away. They're the naysayers who say all that matters is money and power, and people don't matter, and babies are a pain in the butt. They should all be aborted and killed, and people should be killed, and they're the dross. They're the negative people, right? We got to be focused and understand that we're all light. We're all here for love, and we're all the part of her entire being, of the earth and the entire being of the planet, right? And the universe, Be a part of this with intent and active participation, right? You see, yes, page 10. You are in a good place. Sort your food. Be expectant. Be excited for the rebirth, but be aware of the physical world's way of birthing. Okay, so sort your food. In other words, have some backup food, right? Be expectant, because you're going to have some like supply chain problems occasionally in some places. Right? Be expectant. Be ready for change. Change is going to happen, because that's what happens when you birth. The big change happens. Be excited for the rebirth, but be aware of the physical world's way of birthing. It is sometimes a painful shift to new life. So, yeah, I don't know if you're a woman, if you've ever given birth. I've given birth 5 times, and yes, big painful shift. So, find stable land. Do not live on a fault line. Just a bit of advice there. Don't live under a volcano. They said don't live under a volcano in a riverbed or on a small island. In other words, don't be where you're going to get flooded, you're going to get hit by a pyroplastic flow or lava. Don't live on a fault line where all the earth sort of moves and shakes, everything falls apart. Okay? Try and find a nice, stable, high ground that's not going to be a volcano, basically. Allow for choppy waters and shifting sands. Choppy waters, shifting sands. Where will the expansion lines be? They will spread in the great spreading zones. These deep and spreading zones can be found on maps, and you can research for them. They are known. Yes, they are like these lines. A lot of them are in the ocean, where you can see that they've been spreading. You can find them. I think they're called spreading zones. Right. Volcanoes are growing to release energy that needs to be let go. They create more mountains and form a part of the ever-changing shape of her surface. New land must come for her to grow. So they're saying it's inevitable that more land will be created so that she can grow bigger. She's actually going to grow bigger. The Earth's going to grow bigger. Isn't that fascinating? Right. The oceans are pliable and fluid. A great rift will come in the spreading zone, and the ocean will fall into it. This is really interesting, this bit. I remember this because I was so fascinated. Much water will move. This ocean movement will bring about a void, a vacuum within the oceanic body of water. In other words, it's going to get sucked into it. This forms great drawback and shifting of the oceans because They are actually drawn together in a magnetic connection of fluids. A drawback. I just don't know that, I don't think we've ever experienced such an event as this oceanic event, which is the one that's really like, you've got to really think deeply about it. What they're saying is if a big rift opens and the water gets sucked in, it creates movement all around the Earth's entire oceans, which are all connected. It creates movement in all of the oceans because they're all connected through this magnetic link of the molecules of water. Right. Which there might be some strange things happening with the ocean we can't explain, and they just explained why that will be. Things we could never imagine happening with the ocean's movements and just suddenly happening in one part of the world when a rift happened in another part of the world in the ocean. Okay. Wow. When the pull on the ocean happens, waters will rise up in ways never seen in your current era. So it's hard to imagine, like, water's going to be sucked down into a rift, but it's going to create uprising somewhere else because of the effects of this movement in one ocean part. This is a great conundrum of your time. Oh, excuse me, where am I? Okay. Unforeseen and unimaginable to your current pedagogy of explanations and understandings. This can only be described as epic. What should you do? Step up into the higher lands to keep your feet dry. What else would you do? They're saying we need to go up higher to be out of this spishy-sloshy business that's going to go on that you can't foresee, and just sort of get out of the way for a while, and be higher up. And so this is something that could happen in places that you don't get tidal waves, you don't get earthquakes, you don't get problems because the oceans are being drawn and moved due to the shift in another ocean, and it's something that science doesn't get to observe all the time, so we don't expect it to happen. The Australian tectonic plate is pretty big, and we don't get many tidal waves. But I did hear a few years ago, I watched a YouTube documentary by a geologist out of one of the universities, and he makes these little mini videos, and he points out evidence of tidal waves happening on the eastern coast and on the southern, like everywhere really, but that's a really long time ago. So it's a very long time since this kind of a shifting has happened, and there is evidence of, even on Australia, one of the most stable continents on the planet, right? There's evidence of that happening there. So water coming and big waves shifting big boulders inland and things like that. So obviously there's evidence of it, even though we can't imagine it really. That's why it would be a bit of a surprise. Okay, where am I up to? Yes. Okay. What else can you do? Keep your feet dry, right? When the vacuum effect is settled, the waters will again adjust themselves and become more settled. Okay, so it's not forever. This is just during this process. Right. Now, along with the shock to the waters, there will be the expansion process. This involves the creation of land. How do you imagine the creation of land to come about, dears? They're sort of like getting us to embrace our own imagination. Well, we already know how it's going to have to happen because there's only so many ways for it to happen. And that's what they're saying, just think about it yourself for a minute so that we're not just dropping information on you. Engage your brain and you have your own answers. They like to say you can find your own answers, you've got to look for them and engage and open your mind to your own Akashic record of the forward and the backward. Remember, timelines are not all the same, and you'll find the understanding to make it comprehensible for you. Okay. Yes, it will be due to the subduction and induction. Have you heard of subduction and induction zones, where tectonic plates are pushed onto each other and one goes down, one goes up? It creates a lot of like volcanic stuff and earthquakes and upheavals and all that sort of thing. So, okay, the development of new matter will come from within. It all comes from within the earth. Her growth comes from within, like us, like a child. Here we go, they're going to say, just as a child's body multiplies its cells, extends and grows more bones, expands its heart, liver and brain, all grows bigger from within. That's so true, isn't it? If we think about it, how does a person grow? From within, yeah. And the earth will do the same thing, as the sun is doing too, by the way. How else could it happen? That's how it happens. It's so logical when it's pointed out like that, isn't it? Right. The earth doesn't grow because asteroids hit it and stick to it like Play-Doh being thrown at something. It grows from within. It's a biological eminence, being. This is the true and only logical assumption. So please do not entertain the ideas of external influences on physical growth. The sun on physical growth, not a physical growth. It's not like cancer or something. Just growing, like a teenage kid grows, you know. The sun provides the raw materials and feeds her, then she grows. There we are. Interesting. Just as you do. You did, and you will again. We did. We were kids, and then we grew. We went to teenage years. We were little toddlers and we grew, and we were teenagers and we grew, and we became us. Okay. You ready to keep going? A little sip. I know this is a little bit long, but there you go. This needs to be talked about on the way through the message. You are not alone. They love to say that. Now, let's talk about the future. Nice. Moving forward, you will be very enlightened as to the great awareness. This is a connectivity. Your presence is a collective of minds connected in awareness. This is the new collective mind that remakes a designer world full of innovation and free thinking. That sounds good, doesn't it? Birthing will become easy. I think she means actual having babies. Babies will be less painfully and agonizingly born. That's nice. Not less, as is espoused by the people who are not able to handle the new world. Let me say that again. Okay, right. Birthing will become easy, not less. So some people think it's going to get harder. Apparently, not as easy, but less easy as we move forward. All right. As is espoused by the people who are not able to handle the new world. In other words, people who can't relate to the new world are going to try and superimpose their old version of the world, the hard life, over the top of the new world, which we're saying isn't a real thing. Okay. It will be easy because you, the people, will be more conscious and therefore self-enabled. Nice, that sounds sensible. Makes sense? You are in the darkness now. Does feel like that, doesn't it? But the light is coming, dears. Yes, 1,000 years of light will be your legacy, and you will emanate all into existence. That resonates and is enabled by light will be a part of the emanating everything to happen in our world, will be a part of the creation process. This is the beginning. And I asked a question. Here's my question. Dear ones, When will the great rift occur, please? Sort of like a bit of a burning question there. Dear, it is upon you soon, as the sun has set the clock and is on this process. It is a joint adventure, this birthing process. Your son is investing heavily into her birthing process. He has opened up himself in a joint birthing process. Oh, how nice. You know, like they're saying they're both rebirthing together. Isn't that nice? Okay, what else have we got? Yes, all the planets are going through this. All the planets in our solar system. Amen. Because everywhere else as well. But our sun is working with his own group of planets. All are reforming and rebirthing. All together, dears. All of them are. In this way, in this, we say it is a lot to take in. So stay on track. Don't forget to be in tune. Don't be afraid. Be in time with her contractions, her movements. Be calm. In other words, be calm and patient. Don't be afraid of her when the changes are happening. Just try to be supportive of yourself and your friends around, and send love to the planet, which helps it go smoothly and calmly. I am reminded, because I've had some babies, if the person assisting you, sitting with you, is supportive and calm and reassuring, I think it makes it a lot easier and less dramatic and less painful, and probably helps you just go through it more smoothly. So it's a bit like that. Okay, right. Be in time with her contractions, her movements. When her waters break, be ready for the liquid infraction. That's such an interesting analogy to what we've talked about with the rift and the waters moving. And it is like that. When the waters break with a woman, it's like all the liquid inside the womb. Is so long since I've had a baby, I can't remember the names of things, but the amniotic fluid inside the sac the baby's in, the waters burst because the muscles are pushing and contracting, and they push the water out, and out it comes. And it's like the reversal of that. For the great mother earth birthing, she's going to have a crack and all the water's going to go kind of a reversal. The water will be going in, not spouting out. Maybe all sorts of things will happen. I don't know, but there might be some spouts. Okay, best not to imagine weird stuff. Just go with the flow. We don't want to co-create some weird stuff for ourselves. Okay. Where was I? Sorry, I'm just going to find where I was. And don't forget to be in tune. Don't be afraid. Be in time with her contractions, her movements. When her waters break, be ready for the liquid infraction. The great vacuuming effect. That's what I get the vision of, all this water going down into this chasm that just opened up, because all the other oceans are going to be dragged here and there and everywhere because of it. Okay, right. It will be beyond your imagining, and unforeseen effects will take place. I don't want to imagine them up. I want to say, calm, pat her hand, gently caress her hair and say, it's okay, you're doing really well. This is not to be feared, but to be witnessed in awe, as in any birth. Let light fill your soul, dear. You are here for a reason. In any moment, you carry the light of the universe. I think that's it. I said, thank you, dear ones. And I think that's it. Yes, that's it. That's the whole message of that part of the message. It's a bit to take in there. So the important point is not to be, isn't that interesting? My painting behind, I didn't realise this. The guy said, put that painting there and put the earth. That's my Earth Mother painting, right? And in the bottom we've got, can you see in the bottom? Oh, we've got like Adam and Eve type thing. It's not really Adam and Eve. It's just the representation of people, man and a woman, in a nice little flower together. How nice is that? That's nice, isn't it? And this one is a white umbrella Buddha, and she's a protector Buddha. She's actual Buddha, and she's to protect you. That's Tibetan Buddhism. And she's breaking the waves. She's in her like toroidal light orb. And she's breaking the waves, and the energetic universal energy is like waves rolling around her, and there's these happy dolphins jumping through, and it's this breaking of the water. Wow. Isn't that amazing? I did that years and years ago. I started that like sort of 14 years ago. Wow. Took me a long time to finish it. I'm slow. But that's rather in theme, isn't it? Isn't that fascinating? I didn't think about that at the time. That's the way it is when you're a channel. You don't actually see a lot of stuff coming. So thank you for joining me. I hope that was interesting. I hope my talking it through helped. Otherwise, your brain would glaze over when it all came to you. If someone doesn't break it down in the third, fourth density energy and talk it through, these things just sort of roll right over your head, because it is a channeling of higher density communication. And it's stuff that's a little bit confronting. So, yeah, I hope that's helped it not be confronting. Please be in love. Feel your own light. Feel yourself. Feel you. Your beautiful light. And understand that you're important and you're wonderful and you're an important part of the whole process. You're a team player and you're not alone. You're not alone. And everything you're doing has meaning, even if all you're doing is keeping to yourself and doing your healing and growing. And I bet you have noticed some healing and growing and evolution in how you are maturing up into yourself and becoming a little bit more. It's like somebody switching the switch every now and then. It's like you feel more capable, more complete. Okay? It's true, isn't it? I'll be interested to know. The last few days I've had real big struggles and it felt like a big downer. I go up and down a bit because I'm super sensitive, unfortunately, and I feel the whole world, and I'm sensitive to stuff, chemicals, everything really. So I'd love to know if you're interested in commenting. Not a lot of people do, but there's one nice lovely person, hello lovely person, who has commented beautifully and so supportively whenever I put out videos. Nice lady in Canada, hello, or person, I don't know, hello. If you want to talk about it, have you had troubles? I do want to share that there are frequencies coming to you that are being emanated out into the world, which can be a little bit off-putting, unsettling, make you feel off balance. And so a lot of this advice is that's the conundrum you shouldn't listen to. And the way to get past that, of course, is, as I always say, is grounding to the earth and spend time with the Great Mother and attune to her. She will overwhelm that negative frequency, and it will be her calibration of frequency that in the rhythm she puts out is so much bigger than anything any people can create. So she will be an overwhelming resonance, and so you communicate with her, attach to her, touch her, love her, think of her, and you will balance. That's all I can say there. Okay, I want to say I love you. You're guides love you. We love you. And yeah, feel free and feel that you are resonant here for the most wonderful time and for the most wonderful purpose. Okay, thank you. I love you, and thank you for watching to the end. You must be here if you hear me saying this. And I'll try to stay on my bike with these videos and keep putting out messages from the guides and angels and share with you. Thank you so much.